Bocchi The Rock is the best anime based on the 9th Anime Trending Awards. But it's still full of fun facts that you might have missed. Let's begin with Bocchi's childhood. Since Bocchi was still in kindergarten, Bocchi has been wearing her iconic yellow and blue hairpin. And if you notice, her hairpin was originally round in shape. Bocchi also can be seen wearing 2 hair clips to separate her bangs. As Bocchi grew up, she stopped wearing her hair clips but continued to wear her hairpin. During Bocchi's elementary school years, her iconic hairpin changed its shapes from being round to star-shaped. When Bocchi attended middle school, her hairpin changed again from star shape to a cubicle shape. In the end, it stays cubicle until she is in high school. I wonder what shapes would it be if Bocchi's hairpin changes again in the future. As for Bocchi's hair length, it also has varied throughout her life, starting from short in kindergarten, becoming long in elementary school, then short again during middle school, and finally long once more when she reached high school. When Bocchi was lying on the couch, we could see Bocchi's sister, Futari, and her dog, Jimmy Hen, playing together and running around. We did not see Futari when Bocchi was still in elementary school because Futari was not born yet. You might already know that Futari means 2 people while Hidori means 1 person, but did you know that while Hidori had 1 ahoge on one side, Futari had 2 ahoge on both sides of her hair? Upon receiving her first guitar from his father, Bocchi dedicated herself to practicing for 6 hours every day for 3 years, which equates to a total of 6,570 hours. This duration is most likely inspired by the famous saying that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert. Bocchi's eyesight also proven to be amazing, because it did not get affected even when she always plays gadget in her dark and cramped closet. I wonder how she would appear if she wore glasses. During this 3 years period, aside from practicing, she also uploaded song covers from popular bands on an online video platform called OTube because her father advised her. We can see her online video platform profile name being Guitar Hero with a profile picture featuring a red flying panda. To make her virtual self looks more appealing, Bocchi mentioned that she had a fun school life and made a promise to cover a song that she and her friends used to sing at karaoke, which was a total lie. Interestingly, the name Guitar Hero is a clever play on words with Bocchi's own name, Hidori Goto. After one of her subscriber, Taku, commented on her latest video upload on OTube that he didn't know if anyone played guitar, Bocchi brought her guitar to school the day after in hope everyone recognizing her talent. Not only that, she also wore lots of band accessories. But because of it, at the end of the day, everyone was too scared or felt too awkward to approach her. As a matter of fact, her guitar was Gibson Les Paul guitar, which could weigh around 4 to 5.5 kilograms. Luckily, her effort on bringing guitar to school was not in vain. On her first encounter with Najika, Najika notices Bocchi because she was carrying a guitar around. Najika was most likely searching for the runaway guitarist, Kita-chan, but ended up meeting Bocchi instead. This is a high possibility because Kita-chan attends the same school with Bocchi. While everyone takes notice of Najika's ahoge, did you notice that Najika wears a yellow scrunchie? Najika then asked Bocchi to play as a substitute guitarist for today's live performance. Because Bocchi could not say no, she ended up following Najika along. By the way, Bocchi has one funny habit, which is that she often starts conversations with "ah."
後藤ひとり修学高校1年です。ギターどのくらい弾ける？あ、そこそこかと。
Najika once asked Bocchi if she was athletic due to her quick reflexes when dodging her gaze. Bocchi admitted that she is not good at sports, but somehow always ends up being the last one standing during dodgeball games. Bocchi herself is not sure why, but it is probably because everyone is dodging her or taking a pity out of her. When Bocchi entered the live house, Starry, she met PA for the first time and got scared.
おはようございます。
PA actually not a name, but it was an acronym of public address. PA got her nickname because she works as a public address system engineer or basically a sound engineer at Starry, although her real name remains unknown throughout the series. Also, did you know that PA voice actress is the same as Jimmy Hen, Bocchi's dog? I bet you do not know this since PA rarely speaks and Jimmy Hen only barks. Speaking of Jimi Hen, it was a reference from Jimi Hendrix, an American guitarist which recognized to be one of the most creative and influential musicians of the 20th century. Not too long after, Rio came to greet Najika, who just came back and met Bocchi as well. Rio was wearing hair clips that resembled a bass fretboard, and she also wore earrings. While Najika mentioned that Rio liked to be called weird, Rio denied it, although she seemed to be happy about it. After their quick introduction, they went to the studio and Bocchi played in a band for the first time, only to be told by Najika that she sucked. Interestingly, in the manga version, Najika's thoughts and words got swapped, and instead of laughing, Rio actually reminded Najika about it. Rio advised Bocchi to cover herself using a cardboard box if she felt scared. Rio only meant for Bocchi to cover her face like marshmallow, but Bocchi misunderstood it, took it to cover her whole body, and likes it, saying that it feels like the same environment that she used to play. After Bocchi moved to her new home, the cardboard box, Najika asked Bocchi if she wanted to get introduced with her real name, but Bocchi did not like that idea. When she was asked if she got any nicknames, she replied that she was only referred to as, "Hey," and, "You there." Which is really sad according to Najika, but that was not the case for Rio. Rio later calls Hidori Gato as Bocchi-chan. Her nickname comes because of Rio's insensitiveness in calling her Hidori Bocchi, which literally means single or alone, to which Najika initially thought that Bocchi would feel sad after being told that. Instead, Bocchi likes it because it was her first ever nickname. Soon after, Bocchi realized she still do not know the band name. When Bocchi asked about the band's name, Najika hesitated to answer it, but Rio answered with Kesaku. After a long pause, Bocchi realized that Kesaku band is a pun means zip tie. However, Rio made another pun by saying Kesaku, which means brilliant or masterpiece. Ironically, we can see the actual meaning of Kesaku being unity when everyone disappears and Najika screams there is no Kesaku or unity in this band. The next time Kesaku band meet, since they know nothing about each other, Rio brought a dice with her. The dice has some topics written on it which are, bungee jumping, the purple one, talk about school, the blue one, talk about favorite music, the yellow one, talk about concert, the red one, talk about quotas, the green one, and lastly, the pink one, a funny story. When they talked about their school, Bocchi revealed that she needed to take 2 hours trips to reach her school. Even if it is far away, Bocchi thought it was a good trade-off because she wanted to avoid meeting his middle school friends. Najika tried to reassure Bocchi by saying that Rio does not have any friend as well. But it turns out, unlike Bocchi, Rio just liked to be alone and she is not feeling lonely. When discussing their favorite music, Rio mentioned that she likes techno KO, a Japanese pop genre in the early 80s to which Najika claimed it to be fake. There is also a wrong translation where Najika claims she likes metalcore, but in the manga it was actually melodic hardcore. Bocchi said she likes anything as long as it is not a seishun complex, basically anything that is irrelevant to Bocchi's school experience. Did you know the opening of Bocchi The Rock anime has a title of seishun complex? When they talked about concert, Najika also took this opportunity to divide the work. She told Rio to write the music and Bocchi to write the lyrics. While there was a task to find a new singer, when Rio asked what would Najika do, she shamelessly dodged the question by rolling the dice. Finally, when they talked about quotas, it was revealed that even when Rio comes from a rich family, she had no ability to manage her money. Rio even tried to take Bocchi's offering when Bocchi refuses to take a job. Did you know that aside from her ahoge and her yellow scrunchie, Najika always wears her red polka dot ribbon? When she is not wearing it around her neck, she ties it as an accessory for her clothes. Interestingly, the ribbon was a gift from her sister, Seika Ajichi. We know that Najika went to the same school as Rio, but while Rio wears a simple black ribbon, Najika still prefers to wear her huge ribbon. Speaking of Rio, she shares some similarities with Bocchi in the sense that both of them always wear clothes that cover their whole body. While Bocchi wears her pink tracksuit most of the time, Rio can be seen wearing black clothing under her uniforms. Unfortunately, Kita is the only character out of the 4 who doesn't wear any hair accessories or distinctive clothing. However, in the ending song of episode 1 to 3, we can see that each character is related to something. For example, Bocchi is associated with her yellow and blue hairpin, while Najika had her red polka dot ribbon. The interesting part is that Rio is associated with a tulip flower, which actually has the meaning of perfect and deep love. As for Kita, she is associated with a flower called Camellia Yuletide, which is also known as red Sazanka flower. Interestingly, Sazanka flower means the overcoming of obstacles and endurance, which can be seen when Kita overcomes her lack of skill in playing the guitar.
ねえ、これもしかして不良品?
Speaking of their relation to an object, Bocchi the Rock characters have fascinating references to Asian kung fu generations, such as matching instruments and similarities in their birthdays. Hidori Goto's name is a subtle nod to Masafumi Goto, the lead vocalist and guitarist. Similarly, Najika Ajichi's name is inspired by Kyoshi Ajichi, the drummer of the same band. Ryo Yamada's name is a reference to Takahiro Yamada, the bassist. Lastly, Ikuyo Kita's name is a tribute to Kensuke Kita, the lead guitarist. Furthermore, each character's instrument matches their real-life counterpart. Additionally, Bocchi the Rock features various ending songs throughout the series. In episodes 1 to 3, the title of the music played was Distortion, followed by Kara Kara, which means hurry in episodes 4 to 7. In episodes 8 to 11, the ending song was Naniga Warui, which means what is wrong with. Finally, in episode 12, the title was Korigaru Iwa, Kaminia Saga Furu, or the English title Rock and Roll, Morning Light Falls on You. Interestingly, the last song is actually a real song made by Asian Kung Fu Generation, and Kesaku Band used it in the series as an ending song. Another fascinating fact is that each title in the Bocchi the Rock anime actually refers to a real song released by Asian Kung Fu Generation. For example, the title of the second episode, Mata Ashta, is a reference to the song Sora Dewa, Mata Ashta. In addition, Asian Kung Fu Generation was credited with a special thanks in the final episode. In episode 2 of Bocchi the Rock, Bocchi attempts to make herself sick in an unconventional manner by immersing herself in an ice bath and playing the guitar in front of a fan. Much to her surprise, she ends up feeling healthier than ever. This unexpected outcome is due to the fact that an ice bath can stimulate the immune system, but only when the person is healthy. On the other hand, if someone is already ill, taking an ice bath could actually worsen their condition. In the same episode, we also get a glimpse of Bocchi's hairstyle when she takes a bath. She tied her hair as double-side hair buns, and she did not wear her hairpins. It's also interesting to note that she doesn't wear her hairpins when she's resting. Another intriguing moment in the series is when Bocchi imagines people staring at her as she tries to enter Starry. Among the people she sees are Seika Ajichi, Najika's sister, and Pie-san, the sound engineer. Interestingly, there is also a brief appearance of a random person who is never introduced throughout the series. The only time we see him is when Bocchi first enters Starry. He sits in the place where Seika usually sits. This could potentially hint at a role this character may play in a future season of Bocchi the Rock. Like and subscribe to wish for Bocchi the Rock Season 2. The second time Bocchi attempted to enter Starry alone, she was frightened by Seika, who suddenly appeared and informed her that Starry had not yet opened. After they introduced themselves, Seika remembered Bocchi as Mango Kamen, which made Bocchi happy because she believed it was her new nickname. Mango Kamen is actually a character from Kamen Rider, known as Mango Punisher. However, in this context, it refers to Bocchi wearing a ripe mango box as a mask to hide her presence. Later on, Najika arrives and calls Seika her big sister, which surprises Bocchi as she had not known about their relation before. Najika explains once again that the manager of Starry is her sister and that their family lives in the apartments above it. In fact, viewers get a glimpse of Najika's apartment when Najika was cooking her own bento.
何の話?
Also, did you know that Najika's loin display picture is actually her own ahoge? When Najika teaches Bocchi how to tend the drink bar, she mentions the use of a drink ticketing system that involves paying an additional 500 yen after purchasing the ticket. For reference, a cola cost about 150 yen, which made Bocchi think it is quite expensive. Bocchi asks Najika about the reason for using this system, but Najika also does not know the reasoning behind it. One possibility is that the system is in place to make it easier to track sales, or it could be to provide customers with a souvenir in the form of the ticket if they did not trade it for drink, since the ticket itself resembles a guitar pick. However, Rio does not follow the system. Instead, when a customer trades in their ticket, they do not have to pay an additional 500 yen for the drink ticket. Additionally, there was a scene when a customer orders orange juice, they did not give any drink ticket to Bocchi. But in the manga, there was a scene where a customer actually used a drink ticket to buy a drink. After completing her tasks at Starry, Bocchi quickly returns home and in the end she falls sick for real. She is forced to stay in bed for 3 days to recover. At this moment, Bocchi was afraid people will forget about her if she was gone for too long, which resulted in Bocchi called as a pain by her sister. Once Bocchi recovered, upon returning to school, Bocchi brings her guitar with her, hoping someone will finally talk to her, but no one did. Until she overhears her classmate discussing bands, and one of them has the same hairstyle as Rio, which had a medium-length hair with base fretboard hair clips.
忘れました.
At lunchtime, Bocchi ends up eating alone in a dark corner. But she was happy because she felt it was tough to eat by herself in the classroom.
いい場所見つけてよかった.
Later, she hears about a great singer named Kita, who used to be in a band as a guitarist. This is a perfect fit for the spot that is missing in the band. When Bocchi first saw her, there were people requesting her to play as a pitcher in baseball. This explains why Kita understands major and minor as terms used in baseball. Later on, Bocchi stalks Kita in the hopes of recruiting her into the band, as she felt guilty for leaving the band for 3 days. While stalking Kita in her classroom, we can see that Kita has brought her instrument with her, even though she said it herself that she couldn't play the guitar. What do you think was the reason for her bringing the guitar to school? After a while, Kita called out Goto's name, and Bocchi was happy because she knew about her. When Kita asked what she was doing, Bocchi accidentally started beatboxing because she was too nervous. What she meant to say was, "The band is looking for a guitarist and vocalist, do you want to join?" But it came out as which sounds like a beatbox, creating yet another awkward moment for Bocchi. She ran away and Kita chased her, although it wasn't shown how Kita ultimately found her. In the manga, Kita actually looked for her in a trash bin before finding her in the dark alley. In the opening scene of episode 4 of Bocchi The Rock, viewers can see a scene where Rio was standing in the pouring rain. Her eyes were fixated on a poster that features her old band, the Hamakatata, which consisted of 3 members, including Rio herself. While it wasn't clear how they looked like in the anime, it was shown more clearly in the manga. In the same episode, the poster appears again when Kesaku Band is searching for a location for their promotional photos. Kita was the first to suggest taking a photo on the spot because of all the posters, which give off a real Shimokitazawa vibe. At this moment, Rio reveals that the place was a CD shop that she used to come a lot, leading to speculation that Rio may have practiced with her old band at the same CD shop. The CD shop's name can be observed as Berlin Records based on the closing notice. The poster was partially obscured by Rio's hand, leaving only the word STA visible. However, in later episodes, it is revealed that Kita also has the same poster hanging in her bedroom, and from this, it is discovered that the full word of STA is Starry. It is known that Najika recruited Rio after she left her previous band. However, based on the information from Rio's old band poster, there is a possibility that Najika may have first seen Rio performing with her old band at Starry. As a side note, it's possible that Kita, being a fan of Rio, was already aware of the significance of the CD shop and intentionally led the group to take photos there. Interestingly, Kita had previously mentioned that she first became captivated by Rio's playing when she saw her perform on the street. There is a chance that the street Kita referred to is the same one where the CD shop is located. And it is important to note that Kita's apology for being insensitive could be insincere or merely an act. This theory is supported by a similar situation in which Kita made the Kasaku band perform at the school festival. I still believe that Kita is a good person, and there may be a valid reason for her choosing that particular spot. If you pay close attention, you will notice that Bocchi was not present in that scene as she was visiting another wall before returning to Najika and giving her an unintentional jump scare. Bocchi mentions that she found a great location for taking photos and, funnily enough, she demonstrated it through pantomime. Following their photo shoot, Najika and the band were going through the pictures they had taken. As they swiped through the images, Najika couldn't help but comment on how effortlessly cute Kita looked in every single photo. Kita, seemingly nonchalant about it, mentioned that she was used to uploading her pictures on Instagram. Without hesitation, she pulled out her phone and showed the band her account, Kita0421, with a staggering 593 photos. After seeing Kita's account, we see one of the most famous scenes in Bocchi The Rock, the glitching Bocchi. As a matter of fact, Bocchi's voice actress did the scream without any editing. This impressive feat was demonstrated once again in Bocchi the Radio podcast. After taking some pictures, Kita suggested taking a jumping picture, which Rio responded to by commenting on how any anime with a jumping sequence in the opening is considered a top-tier anime. This statement specifically referred to the Kurara jump, a common element found in moe anime openings, where the cast jumps together as a group. This jump was first popularized in the anime K-On!, which shares the same theme as Bocchi the Rock in being centered around a band. It was further emphasized in the manga with Kiraran as the translation when they jumped. During a photo shoot, Najika expressed her reluctance to include any instruments in the photo. She believed that it would be uncool to just bring her drumsticks without any accompanying instrument. It is worth noting that the instruments used by the characters in the show are not just props, they are genuine brands. This happened because those brands are sponsors for Bocchi the Rock anime. Also, the instrument they are using are sold in real life and they are actually really expensive. Najika's impressive Imperial Star drum kits comes with a hefty price tag, which is about $1,000. And Rio's high-end Fender American Professional bass is even more expensive, costing around $1,800. Kita's Gibson Les Paul Jr. guitar, which was originally owned by Rio and got lent to Kita, also has a high value of approximately $1,600. Not to mention, Rio also purchased Kita's bass guitar, which was mistakenly bought and costs about $1,200. By the way, using the price of Kita's bass guitar as a reference, we can calculate her monthly allowance to be approximately $48 or 6,400 yen, as she used 2 years' worth of her allowance and her New Year's money to pay for it. It was assumed that the New Year's money was equivalent to 1 month's allowance. In total, Rio spent an impressive sum of about $4,600 on her musical instrument, which is still logical considering her parents owned a hospital. However, this still pales in comparison to the cost of Bocchi's guitar. Although its design is similar to the guitar used by Kita, Bocchi's Gibson Les Paul guitar is not the junior version and is valued at a whopping $6,000. It is revealed in the manga that her father purchased it for 500,000 yen or around $3,800, as it is a reissued model. Returning to the earlier scene, during their photo session, their first jumping photo revealed Bocchi's panties, as pointed out by Najika. This detail was not depicted in the anime adaptation, but it was shown in the manga. Additionally, it is worth noting how Kita appeared to be ecstatic when she held Rio's hand. After taking some good photos, Kita mentioned that the Ketsuku band was finally starting for real, but Najika pointed out that they didn't even have their first song yet. While Bocchi was lost in thought, Rio suddenly disappeared into a thin air. She ran away when they mentioned about the song, possibly feeling partially responsible for the situation. Bocchi was once again covered by self-doubt about her song lyrics, and she was hesitant to show them to anyone. She ultimately decided to share them with Rio, and it was the right decision. When Bocchi first mentioned that she would write the most band-like music and guarantee them a huge hit, Rio immediately sensed that something was off.
らしい
This was likely due to Rio's past experience with her previous band that prioritized profit over honesty in their music. By the way, it's worth noting that Rio's display picture is a cactuar, a monster from the popular video game series Final Fantasy. As Bocchi asked to meet Rio, Rio responded that she was currently at a fancy cafe. The question remains, since she was totally broke, was she really at that fancy cafe at that moment?
いきなり入っていいのかな
What if she assumed that Bocchi would pay for her meal and chose an upscale location? Or even worse case, did she already plan to dine and dash from the start? We can see that Rio left the place without paying until Bocchi reminded her about the receipt.
お会計
But, if her intention was to dine and dash, it would have been a poor decision to choose the seat farthest from the door as her escape route. Bocchi found herself in a difficult situation when she couldn't say no to Rio's request and ended up paying for her meal. Although Rio promised to repay her, it was clear that she had no intention of doing so. When the Kesaku band visited Inashima Shrine, rode the escalator, and bought ice cream, once again, Rio made Bocchi pay for her. Fortunately, Seika intervened and caught Rio in the act, making her pay her debt to Bocchi. Rio paid Bocchi back with 1,016 yen using a combination of 10 yen, 5 yen, and 1 yen coins, as well as a 1,000 yen paper bill to settle the payment. Bocchi's statement upon entering the cafe was "Are you winning diners?" which is actually referring to the popular meme "Are you winning son?" In the official translation, it was initially "Boss, are you still open?" This phrase is commonly used in Japan when people enters an izakaya, which is a type of Japanese pub. Upon showing Rio the book, Bocchi initially thought Rio was shocked by the lyrics she made, but Rio's attention was actually drawn to the signature page.
そのページじゃないです
When Bocchi was creating her signature, she referred herself as Gochi. While it may seem like a combination of Goto and Bocchi, it's actually a reference to Masafumi Goto, who is also known as Gochi when Masafumi started a solo project. After Bocchi showed Rio the lyrics page, Rio reads it and asked Bocchi if she actually satisfied with it. Bocchi said that she write that because she thought she should write something like what famous bands do. Rio later told Bocchi about Rio's past and asked her to not abandon her uniqueness. Rio said,
個性捨てたら死んでるのと一緒だよ
Rio also advised Bocchi not to write song based on other people's concerns, just write what she wanted to write. Upon hearing this, Bocchi realized her mistake and finished the lyrics the next day after scrimming a whole night. Although Rio described the lyrics as a downer, she liked them because they were honest, which made Bocchi very happy. Bocchi also received promotional photos, which she printed and posted all over her room. We can estimate the size of Bocchi's room by counting the number of pictures on the wall. Leave in the comment below on how big you think Bocchi's room is. The system used at Starry is a bit strange, but before we go into that, let me provide a brief introduction about Starry. Starry is a live house located in Shimokitazawa, Tokyo, and managed by Saika Ajichi and her friend, Pie-san. The venue was initially established by Seika with the intention of keeping Najika happy, after she developed an interest in bands. Starry is modeled after Shelter, a Real live house located in the same area. In the opening scene of Bocchi The Rock episode 5, Seika Ajichi greets the band members with paychecks consisting of 10,000 yen or about $76. After receiving their paychecks, Bocchi daydreams about how to use the money. Najika later intervenes and collects the money back to pay for the concert's quota. The quota system refers to episode 2 where Najika explained that Starry uses a quota system, which means the tickets that get sold will be counted as a quota first, and if the sales are higher than the desired quota, the revenue gets split between Starry and the bands. But if they cannot bring enough people to meet the quota, the band has to pay the rest out of their pocket. The system made Kesaku band had to take a job at Starry, just in case they did not get enough audience. If the money were to be taken back from them, Rio should not be worried about Najika taking out a payment from the paycheck because if the paycheck is being reduced, they would need to sell more to reach the quota. But here is the first weird thing. At the end of the 5th episode, Najika mentions that since each ticket costs 1,500 yen, each person needs to sell 5 tickets to reach the 30,000 yen quota. But remember how in the opening scene, Najika already collected the members' money? Since Najika already collected the funds to cover the quota, why do they need to find audience again? The logical reasoning for this is that Najika only collected the money for emergency fund if they could not sell the tickets. But, if this is the case, why would Bocchi need to get stressed out to sell the tickets? She has the option to use the money to cover her part. The other thing to note, they technically only need to work for a month. They would need to work again only if the money was used. The other weird thing about this quota system is that when Kesaku Band performs, have you noticed how fans from another band arrived early and had the opportunity to watch Kesaku Band perform?
やっぱ全然パッとしないわ。
If this is the case, how do the Starry employees know which audience counted towards whose band quota? We have seen the scene where the audience trade the tickets they have bought previously. Rio did not do anything other than ripping their tickets and giving them free drink ticket. Speaking of the drink ticket, have you noticed that Starry has separate menus for customers who use the drink ticket and those who don't? The ticket menu includes items such as draft beer, vodka, gin, rum, tequila, cassis, whiskey, shochu, plum wine, and soft drinks. On the other hand, the bar menu requires customers to pay with money to make a purchase and cannot be redeemed with drink tickets. Some of the items on the bar menu include draft beer, shots, wine, fruit liquor, cocktails, and Japanese sake. Unfortunately, the rest of the menu cannot be seen because of the tipping box. It seems strange that Kesaku Band, who are currently in high school, are allowed to work at Starry, considering that the drinks served are not intended for minors. It turns out that the work policy in Japan is quite unique. There are no specific laws that prevent minors from serving alcohol. In fact, as students, they can work up to 28 hours a week and even 8 hours a day during breaks. Therefore, they are legally allowed to take part-time jobs at Starry.
また明日!
There is another odd scene related to the paycheck. Since each of them needs to sell 5 tickets and the ticket costs 1,500 yen, we could calculate that a person needs to fill a 7,500 yen quota. If the paycheck contains 10,000 yen, they should have been left with 2,500 yen each. In the end, Najika still decided to take all of the money without even checking how much money inside it. And the worst part is that throughout the series, we never see the money again. The salary they receive is also not very high. The average salary for a part-timer is 1,079 yen per hour, which we can round to 1,000 yen for easier calculation. If they work 28 hours a week, that accumulates to 112 hours a month, and each member should have received 112,000 yen. Back to the quota system, there is actually a loophole in it where a band could simply survey whether they would have customers in advance. For example, in Kesaku Band's case, they could ask their friends if they would come and watch their performance. If from the survey it appears that they might not reach the quota, they could choose not to register for the performance. This way, the band would not suffer the consequences. In the case of Kesaku Band, they did not need to work at Starry and could focus on practicing. The logical explanation for this is that the band could not promote their concert before getting their schedule from Starry, but this also has a loophole. They could register for an audience on Saturday, pass the screening, and get the schedule first. If after promotion they cannot reach the quota, they could simply revoke their applications. Since Starry did not state anything about revoking applications, the worst Starry can do is ban the band. No pun intended. Another noteworthy detail is that the tickets that Bocchi needed to sell actually feature the names of the bands that are set to perform on the same day, namely Ahoge, Kesaku Band, Macaroni Pencil, and Ryoku Shoku Yasai. The tickets also indicate other essential information such as the date of the event, which is August 14th, the opening time at 6 p.m. and the performance time at 6:30 p.m. The ticket price is set at 1,500 yen for pre-sale, but if purchased on the spot, it would cost 2,000 yen, and a drink ticket for 500 yen is also written on it. Interestingly, the back of the ticket has no information, which makes it strange that the address of Starry is not included. If all 4 bands are required to follow the same quota rules, we can calculate the size of Starry and the revenue it generates each month. Based on the quota of 20 audience members per band, there would be a total of 80 audience members. Adding the band players and Starry staff, we can assume that Starry can accommodate at least 100 people. If all 100 people can fit comfortably, the venue would be around 400 square meters. This does not include the space for the drink bars, the stage to perform, and a spare room for Kesaku band to practice. As a reference, a 100 square meter house in Shimokitazawa costs about $500,000. Therefore, Starry would cost at least around $2 million. At the same time, we can calculate Starry's income. Assuming 80 audience members buy the pre-sale ticket, which cost 1,500 yen, the income for each day would be 120,000 yen or $910, not including drink fees of an additional 500 yen or tickets bought on the spot, which cost 2,000 yen. Therefore, we can estimate the income to be around $1,000 per day. Since Bocchi works at Starry every day, we can also assume that the venue has events every day. So, annually, Starry's income would be $365,000. Assuming half of the income is used to cover costs, the rough estimate of Starry's revenue would be about $200,000 per year. If you take a closer look at the band schedule, you'll notice that they were arranged in alphabetical order. However, on the day of the performance, Kesaku band went on stage first instead of Ahoge. This was confirmed by the ticket, which stated that the performance was scheduled to begin at 6:30 p.m., but Kesaku band performs at 6:35 p.m. The heavy rain may have prevented the first band from appearing at Starry. Additionally, we were unable to see the other bands as well. This raises a question: if a band fails to show up, will customers receive a refund? Since Starry cannot determine which band the customers intended to watch, they may not be eligible for a refund. Moreover, the opening time of 6:30 p.m. is inconsistent with the usual opening time of Starry, which is at 5 p.m. But even if the opening time were set at 5 p.m., they would still have been unable to avoid the heavy rain, as it had already started pouring since 3:30 p.m. Remember the mysterious guy that I mentioned in one of my videos? Well, he actually appears again, and it turns out that he works as a lighting engineer at Starry. We can see him manipulating the lights when Kesaku band was about to play their second song. We can also see him sitting near PA-san. Sadly enough, even when PA come, we could not see him when Kesaku band is having an after party. Special thanks to Hacked 3DS and Grim Priestess for pointing out this mysterious person. That concludes the fact about Starry. If you found it enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. See you in the next episode.